Boy, he's a big one, isn't he? There he is. He's been eating good.
Hey you guys, today I thought I'd do a video for you, now that all of our pruning is done, on peach borer removal and fighting the little bugs that often bore into the trunks of the trees. I want to go through together with you and actually remove the peach borers manually, and this is the tool we're going to use to do that. About before we actually go to the trees here and dig around them a little bit and kill some peach borers. That should be fun. Just a little bit about the peach borer first, is that it's kind of a hornet looking bug, insect, but it's got kind of a black body to it with I think a white stripe on it. So it's a little bit of a different looking one, but it kind of is about the size and the shape of a hornet. And basically what they do is they find something that they think is a good place to lay their eggs, like a peach trunk, and they lay the egg kind of right there where the trunk meets the dirt. And we'll look at that when we get into these trees here, exactly how they're doing that. But that's basically what happens, is they lay their eggs there, and the eggs hatch, and the larvae, the little worms, they start munching on the trunk. And so now what happens is they start eating their way through the bark, and they eat a ring around the whole trunk of the tree and really damage the tree, can even kill the tree, certainly cause a lot of trouble for the tree, so it's not as productive, and it has areas of the tree that would die off because half the trunk has been eaten away, where it can't have its flow of blood anymore, and juice and sap. Now, one peach borer may not kill the tree, but if you get a bunch going, maybe 3 or 4 of them, boy, they start really doing a lot of damage, and they do it pretty fast. And so it's a really good idea to go through and check your trees after you're done pruning in the spring, and that's what I do. Is usually I just go through one time a year. I do it in combination with the pruning timing, and that seems to be the best, because the eggs would have hatched in February or something like that, maybe January, and got started, and then by the time I get over here at the end of February or in March, they're not too big yet, but they're big enough that I can see them, and then I can eradicate them, and yet they haven't done too much damage to the tree yet either. So we're catching them at a time where we can fight with them, but also they haven't hurt the tree too much. I really want to focus on the really for sure 100% way of making sure your peach borers are got killed for the season. Now, there's a lot of ways people try to do preventative to keep these insects away from the peach so that they don't have to sit here and worry about it. You know, some of these are like they in past, and this one we've even tried to, and it works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. And we've painted the trunks white, and you may have seen that in some of the orchards that you've driven by, or in some of the older orchards. And so we've done that too, and it just seemed like at times it would be helpful, and then at other times it was not as helpful. And there's other things they have, like they have a plastic cone that kind of goes around the trunk of the tree, and sometimes that's pretty effective, and other times maybe it's not as effective too. Maybe you have other trouble where you have the wind come in and mess them up, or the sun bakes them and they crack the next year, and you know, all the different things. And then of course you get into the spray category, where people try all sorts of different chemicals and sprays, or maybe the more natural side, where they do the neem oil, or the different types of products they can put on the trunk of the tree to try to get the bugs to be repelled from it. And some of those work too pretty good. And you know what? All I can say about all those different methods is a lot of times they are helping, sometimes nothing seems to help. So that's why today I'm not really going to go into all those other methods so much, but I'm going to focus on the method that I have found has given me pretty much a 99% insurance that, hey, I got the peach borers under control. It took maybe just a few extra minutes on each tree, but at least I have that as my starting point, And then if I want to experiment with the other ways of trying to fight this issue, then I have time to do that without damaging my trees too much. So this way I really want to show you, because I think this one will be your foundation of being able to protect your trees from those insects, and then you can build upon that from there. One of the things I should mention probably before we start is just a little bit about the trunk here, is that it's kind of like our own human body, where it has around the trunk, it has they call it it looks like bark to us, but it's kind of the bark layer or your skin layer where all the veins run through it. Now, I don't know all the scientific names they have for it, but it's similar to your body where all that stuff runs through there. And then in the interior, they kind of have the bone of the tree, where it's kind of that inside part of the tree, but it doesn't really have anything running through it. It just provides structure to the tree, where all the stuff like the sap and the lifeblood of the tree is running around the ring of the tree, the rim of it. And so that brings us back to the peach borer. And so what the peach borer is eating is they're not going into the middle of the tree where they're eating on the bone. They're actually eating all the bark skin parts of the vitals of the tree. They're eating a ring around it on all that part. And so that's why it's so dangerous, because that's what they're eating, and it's a relatively thin layer, and they go through it pretty quick. A great indicator that you do have a peach borer on your tree is this oozing sap right here that is around the base close to the dirt line of the trunk of the tree. And if we go around here, there's some more. If we come around the back side, here's some more. And even over on this side, there's some dried one, but there was some too. So that's an indicator that we have a borer or two. Now, usually there's only maybe one, maybe two on a tree. I think I've seen up to 4 or 5 on a tree at one time, and that was the worst I've ever seen it. But usually it's maybe just 1 or 2. Now, some years I come to the orchard and I walk through the whole orchard, and boy, that's an easy day, because all I see is maybe 1 tree out of 50 that has a peach borer on it. So some years are like that, where maybe the insect didn't do very well that year and she didn't lay many eggs or whatever. And some years are real bad, where every tree is oozing and it takes a lot longer to go through everything. So anyway, with that being said, let's get started and see if we can knock out some of these borers in this tree right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull back this sap. Now this sap is an indicator, but all it really is the tree is bleeding, just like I said, where we are similar to our body. And I don't know if you've ever had a big sliver in your hand or in your arm or something. And if you don't pull it out, your body tries to push it out through other methods. But if you don't get rid of it, it irritates your body, and it irritates the tree here to have the borer in it too. So it's trying to get rid of it by pushing the sap through, and the peach borer has an open wound on the tree, and so it's bleeding too. So we'll just pull this back right here, this little clump of sap, okay?
We're lucky.
And here's a little bit of sap there. Now here we are. That was an easy one to find. You see this little white guy right here on the right there, and there he is climbing around. Okay, so there he is, one of them. And what we're going to do with the screwdriver is we're just going to squish him. So that's what you guys got to do, is you got to go in and kill some bugs. Okay, so we got that one in the front taken care of, so that's one. All right, we come around to this back side of the tree now, where there's a lot of dried sap here touching the dirt. So again, we're just gonna come with that screwdriver so we don't have to get our hands too messy. And we'll just pull away some of that sap first of all and see if anybody shows up. And one of the things we can do too is we can dig the dirt around that trunk just a little bit and get rid of it, so that we can have a little bit better view of what's going on here. So that's pretty gooey in there. So I don't know if there's anybody, but I see a lot of goo in there pretty deep. So I'm assuming there's got to be somebody in there pretty fresh. Oh, and there he is.
You see him down in there? That little white guy? Alright, so what I gotta do, I can pull him out of there if I want with the screwdriver. Or I can just squish him right where he's at. But you guys kind of see him, and he's kind of a big guy. Look how big he is. I just pulled him out of there. So he was really going to town on the back side of that tree. Well, he's kind of sad that I had to pull him out of there, but we're just gonna have to take him over here and tell him better luck in the next life. Okay. So we got that big guy out of there. And we'll just poke around and see if we can find anything else. We may end up killing another one just by accident, just by poking around. But boy, that guy was really going to town there. So that's kind of what you want to do is, sometimes you can find them like that and really pinpoint them, but sometimes you may not be as easy to find them. But so long as you give a good poke around to all these little trails that they made, it's likely that you're going to hit them, because again, they're not real deep in the tree. They're hanging around the surface bark area because that's what they're eating on. But I'm sure this tree will be a lot happier once we get this borers out of here, so it can start healing these scabs and go back to producing peaches for us instead of trying to fight this situation down here. So I'm just kind of going around there. So I think we got that side pretty good. Boy, he was a big one. So now we're just going to come around to this other side of the tree, and then I think we'll be done. So let's just open up that one and see what we find there. Now sometimes you got to dig a little bit deeper down into these holes that they bore into the tree. And that's what the screwdriver's for too, is that the screwdriver's really good at kind of navigating through the little pathways they make around the trunk. And so I don't see anything in there, but what I'm going to do with the screwdriver is I can feel the pathway, the little tunnel that he made and it's not a deep tunnel, it's kind of like a surface tunnel where he's almost just navigating his way around the surface of the tree, so it's almost like a trail. So I just take that screwdriver and feel around the trail, and I just squish everything in that vicinity, you know, with the screwdriver, and if he is in there, we probably would have got him. So that hole, I would say, is complete. So now we're kind of on this last side of the tree, and there's some dried sap here again. So, and the sap is a little bit deeper, so this borer maybe could be, I'm just going to dig some of that dirt away. Maybe he's a little bit deeper down. And sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to go a little bit deeper because they're hanging around the, again, that edge of the soil. And look, I peeled a piece of bark off on that one. Now that looks white right there, but that's actually the bone of the tree that I just scraped. So I took off the bark skin layer and I have made it to the bone, which can kind of trick you to thinking that's the same color as the peach borer, which it is. So let's see if we find anything, because this wound on this side looked a little bit dried up, like it's a little bit older. Maybe the peach borer that was there kind of moved on, and maybe he was that big guy that went around to the other side of the tree, because they do travel around the tree. All right, I'm not seeing much on this side, so I think that's probably okay. There's nothing there. So we just finished this tree right here, and oh, it just took us a few minutes to go around it and get all those peach borers knocked out with our screwdriver. And so now we're going to move on to another tree right next to us here, and we might do yet another tree too. So this tree right here is right next to that one we just did, and upon inspection around the trunk, it looks pretty good most of the way around it except for this north side. So that's where we're going to take our screwdriver and do a little search. Okay, before I start on this one, I'll just point out this little speck of latex white paint. Now this is from probably 5 years ago when I tried that method of stopping the different bugs and the sunburn on the trunk. But I kind of gave up on that. It didn't seem like it was worthwhile to do all that work to paint those trunks. I know it looked kind of pretty actually, but anyway, so with that being said, let's go after this north side of this tree And this one shouldn't take too long. We're just looking for one bore, I think. And this is pretty gooey in here, so I'll bet you there's one in here. It's pretty fresh stuff. You know, this is kind of fun a little bit to search. Now we have some other little bugs living in here too, trying to make the most of what Mr. Peach Borer was stirring up for them. Let's see if I can get a little closer down here, and I'll just dig a little bit here. You can kind of see right here where a peach borer in the previous year did some damage to the tree. So I'm just trying to take that screwdriver and kind of clear out those little passageways and see if I can find anything. Okay, got rid of that area. Oh, there he is right there. There he is. You guys see him?
Nope.
Okay, there he is right there. I'm pointing to him right there. You see that little... There he is. He's moving.
There he is.
See him?
Yeah, stay.
So there he is. We found him. He's coming out to come see us, so that's nice of him. So again, what we'll have to do is kill him off so that he'll stop eating the tree. So we'll just take the screwdriver and we'll just pull him out of there and just rub him into the dirt there, and we'll put him back to the earth from whence he came. All right, so that tree's done. That was easy enough. So now we're just gonna go hit a third tree over here. Then I think you guys kind of get the idea of what we're doing with the manual screwdriver. Okay, so we here on the third tree that we're gonna clean up from the peach borers. And before we start on this one, I just wanted to tell you another method that we have used over the years to kind of keep the peach hornets or those insects away that lay the eggs. Is we use wood chip mulch. And you may have seen that in some of the other videos and the other methods that people have done, and we tried that one too. And it does seem like it helps. It also helps fertilize the ground, and it also helps keep the water around the tree good and keep the weeds down. So that one did have a lot of positives to it, where it hit a lot of birds with one stone. And it also seemed to help with the peach borers too. But it still, even that method wasn't 100%, because there still would be a tree here and there that was getting the peach borer eggs, and they would find their way into there. So I wouldn't say it's and that's why I really wanted to show you this method to clean up your trees, because you may find that there's a time where you really want to make sure that thing is killed and not have to rely on all the preventative methods, although those can help, like I said, and those are worth experimenting with and figuring out in your region and where you're at what is most helpful to your trees and repelling to your insects and different things. All right, so let's get started here on this last tree we're going to do for you. And we're just going to pull away that big clump of sap again on the north side and see what we can find. I see him already. He's right in there. You see that little white guy in there? He's probably doesn't like that we're coming to disturb him. But there he is. He's a pretty big one. He's been eating good, apparently. You see him now? Well, this one, I'm not going to pull out. Well, I'm going to try. Let me see if I can get him to come out for us. Boy, he's a big one, isn't he? There he is. He's been eating good this late winter here. So again, we found him on the north side. He's a real big one. He's probably the one doing all this damage. So we'll just, again, rub him back into the dirt there so he can have a peaceful grave, if we can. Okay. All right, what's that one? Is that another one, or is that a piece of... Oh, there's another one right down there. All right, there's another one. You see that one? So I kind of followed down that same tunnel where we found that first one, and I found another one. So let's bring him over here and we'll put him away. And let's just go down that same tunnel, see what else we can find. Like I said, usually there's only 2 or maybe 3 on a tree, but sometimes they get really going. You might find even 4 or 5. All right. Well, I think that's it for the north side. I'm going to come around to this west. All right, here we are on the west side of this tree. And we kind of have this root in the way, so that makes it a little more tricky to dig in here, but just got to remove that sap out of here. That poor sap, and there's even some down into there. So let's just check all these different areas and make sure we poke around in them, and if there is something in there, we'll get it killed. All right, I found the one over here. Well, he's in there deep, so I don't know if I'm able to pull him out. I might just have to, and might just have to kind of just stab him in there. So there, I don't know if you can see his little head right there. He's right. So there he is right there, his little head. So I'm just going to take a screwdriver and I'm just going to push in that crevice and that squish him. And when he gets squished, then it's over for him. So he won't be back. And there's another one right down in here I found. And I just squished down in that hole. So anyway, boy, the mother here really got carried away laying her eggs. And she had a bunch of them do well here. So we got 4 killed, 2 smaller ones on this west side and 2 big ones on this north. So now we have another oozing of sap on the south side. All right, here we are on the south side of this last tree. I'm just going to move our micro spray irrigation equipment out of the way so that we can get in here, pull a few of the weeds away. All right, let's open up this big gusher here. Boy, that one's real fresh. Boy, the tree is really trying to help itself here and it's trying hard to get rid of these things, but it's so far we've found 4 on this tree, and so it's clearly not winning the battle very good. So let's see if we can help it out and try to clear away all that stuff. It's not the funnest thing to get your fingers into, and to say that screw helpful keeping clean, but I can open up some of these trails in there. Sometimes these areas, I just took off a big piece of bark to help that was already mostly chewed away. I was just trying to see what was behind that flake because it's already been gone. I haven't found much on this side yet, but maybe those boars got tired of this side. They ate so much of it, and they moved to that other side. Like I said, they do travel around. And as you saw on that other tree, they can move. They move around a little bit there. They don't just stay in one place. So I'm trying to go down some of these different crevices. And this right here that I'm scraping, you can kind of see it. It's actually the bone of the tree now because the whole skin layer's gone. So they ate this little section right down to the bone. And that's where we run into troubles. If they did that around the whole tree, the tree would be dead. And, oh, there's one way down deep. There he is. You see him?
Yes.
So let's knock him out of there. Let's get him. All right, we just rubbed him out. And that's the sad part, is that if these guys really get going on your tree and you don't take care of them, oh, there's one there. And you see I had to kind of get rid of some of that bark that had already been destroyed. So I'll just get rid of that guy. He's going away. Well, like I was saying, back to what I was saying, if they eat this down to the bone around your whole tree that you've worked so hard for the last 10 years, pruning and taking care of, and all that hard work for a whole decade goes away really fast because these guys will eat it. So you got to stay on top of them. And like I said, for me, and we have a lot of trees, usually if I go through in the spring like this, it takes care of this whole situation until next winter. And I don't usually have to go back, and I don't have a problem much with them. But if you've only got 1 or 2 trees and you really want to make sure these bugs don't make progress on them, then you check them more often. You can go out there once a month and just go check on everything. And all right, here's one more big one right in here. Boy, this one sure had a lot on it. Oh no, that's an earthworm.
Oh.
Poor earthworm. Sorry, friend, but he's supposed to be good for our trees. Well, there's that one we killed. But anyway, once you get these larvae away from the tree, they're as good as dead. They're not going to find their way back. So that's one of the things you gotta try to do, is get them away. Oh, one more big one way down low. I can get this stuff out of the way. It keeps falling in the hole. There. There he is. You see that one? I got him. He's all squished. And so now I'm just poking around. If there's anything left in there, well, it's probably gonna get killed. So there it is. This tree sure got worked over hard. That one had about 6 or 7 peach borers on it. So, but we're glad that we caught them. So now the tree can begin to heal and work on that. So we did these 3 trees and we cleaned them all up, and now I think they're going to be a lot happier for their whole growing season. And I hope that these videos were helpful to you guys to know how to go manually clean up your trees with the peach borers. And like I said, I do recommend trying out the different preventative methods as well, because that's only going to help probably. And but at least you have a way to know how to go in and make sure that damage isn't being done too badly should it come to that. And so that's really what I wanted to show you today. And I really appreciate you guys for watching all of our other peach videos and commenting on them, and we're really glad that we are able to share these type of things with you on YouTube. And you know, usually we get so busy on the farm we don't do this type of stuff, but we're trying to make an extra effort this year to share some of these things that maybe you don't hear as often directly from the farm. So we'll see you on the next video.